teams. We'll see if 07's got a few things up their sleeve. Sublime Banana, welcome to the broadcast. I didn't know you'd be joining us today. Glad to have you on here. Going fantastic, sir. Meadowhawk, I see. Okay, I see what's going on.
Meadowhawk.
Dr. Meadowhawk is standing by. Sublime Banana, let's start with you. We have a question of the day every day. So you've got to answer that for us today. What music do you listen to when you play World of Tanks?
Honestly, I don't really listen to any music. I usually put tunes, so communication's kind of more important than listening to music.
I'll take that answer. That's completely viable. That works. You're the one exception to the rule. We knew that was going to be in there, so nice. All right. Meadowhawk, music while you play.
I think you're going to find a lot of the same answers when it comes to pros. I don't listen to any music either. Obviously, when you're platooning, you want to be able to do comms, but I just like the sweet, sweet sound of the guns firing and tanks blowing up.
Music to my ears.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's get straight to the questions. I'm going to start with Meadowhawk. So, Meadowhawk, we'll play off the theme here. Okay. So, 07's been struggling. You guys have your vitals are questionable. How are you going about diagnosing the issues that 07's been having this season?
It's been a rough couple of weeks. Obviously, we haven't been feeling too good. So, I had some samples taken, and I sent them into the labs. And I got the chart back here for the results.
You've got a chart.
In regards to what we got here. And oh my.
What is it, Doc?
There's nothing's helping this. Wait, Nate. Sorry, I rushed the gun here. This is somebody else's chart.
Oh.
Here we go. Here's 07s. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting. So it looks like 07 has contracted an acute case of onset pharyngeal rhinitis. Symptoms can include choking, the inability to win matches, sudden and uncoordinated pushes, and the uncontrollable urge to say danger zone.
Okay.
That's the first I've ever heard of that.
Is there any treatment? Are there any treatment options available, Doctor?
Well, obviously, normal cases of this tend to clear up on their own fairly quickly. However, in rare instances, prolonged untreatment can cause sudden and irreversible relegation. So, that's quite drastic. So, obviously, I've ordered every 07 member to get an APEX vaccination.
Okay.
And I'm going to reassess them at a later date. I don't think there's too much concern for autism with that because, as you know, most of 07's already autistic. So, how much worse can it get? And as a contingency plan, I see Sublime Bananas here. I was thinking Pompous was going to be here, but I've been participating in some unprotected platooning with Pompous this last week. Maybe in hopes, maybe he could catch the rivalitis and spread it to top tier. But should be a good match. Hopefully everything goes well tonight. We've really been on the ropes, and I'll be seeing you guys in the danger zone. I'll be seeing you guys in the post-game interview.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I can see that you're struggling as well. Sublime Banana, though, with a name like Banana, obviously you are a lover of potassium. And
potassium?
Yeah, you're just... you're probably doing just fine.
Yeah.
You guys are feeling great. Top tier has been struggling a little bit, but...
Yep. So what I wanted to ask you about was Pompous, on the post-game interview on Tuesday, said that he felt you guys were at about 70% of your overall potential right now, and you're just starting to hit form, but you're not quite where you guys want to be. What do you feel your team needs to do to step up to that next level, to get to 100%?
We just have to keep eating our healthy greens, our healthy fats, keep working out, getting stronger, and then we should reach eventually 100.
All right. Keep it 100?
I don't know.
Okay. We shall see. All right, Sublime Banana, Meadowhawk, thank you both for coming on. Meadowhawk, that was good, sir. We'll see.
I think we should have a...
Oh, I thought he was going to finish it, and then he cut it off. Oh, that was cute. That was good.
Oh, Meadowhawk.
He's always got something good. He's got something good. Sublime Banana's fun to see. I should have been more prepared for him because that was a surprise. Sublime Banana.
Yeah, well, he's been around for a very long time.
He has, but he never shows up on camera, and so you never get to hear much from him.
If I recall, wasn't he on one of the Rude's old teams?
Yeah,
at one
he's
point?
he's definitely someone who makes sense to be on top tier.
Okay.
He's one of the guys, and you see the points he puts up. It's always solid.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he played on the old top tier team. Is my point.
Oh,
I think at one point.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'd have to verify and check it and stuff. But
Right.
let's get back in the match. Back into this top tier 07. We're about to start up the match here on Murrow, and top tier is going to be starting. It looks like on defense. So, defense top tier to start this one off. Let's say I like to think that the first battle, not the first map, will set the tone for the entire series. First battle being that much more important. So, with top tier starting on defense, I'm wondering if that's is that
So top tier
is
has
that as good for top tier? I feel like top tier
looking
should
at
be on
the
attack
stat-
first.
Looking at the stats, top tier have an 80% defensive win rate, but where they really struggle is their offense. They are 1 in 6
Okay.
on their offense on Murrow, and to be honest, 07 really isn't too much better. But their defense doesn't even have a positive record either. So if there was one edge to give to one of these two teams, it's to top tier in their defense. But like we said, this map has the highest defensive win rate of any of the maps in the league right now. It's overpassed Ruinberg, something that surprised both of us on Tuesday.
Yeah, and that's something to pay attention to. So defenders should be winning on this one. Top tier. I was skeptical. I must have misremembered because I thought the top tier of all teams would have a solid attack, and they always seem like a team that should be winning on attack. But really, what we always miss is that on defense, they're not afraid to kind of ride out a few times here and there. And so, defense for top tier to start, they should be able to get a win. 07 has some troubles attacking. In that case, well, they should start off with a nice little top tier 1-up on a win. If that gets upset by 07, I think that says a lot for 07 going to the series. They're kind of that longer standing team, and so maybe that experience kind of helps them out here. Maybe some of that newness that top tier is having to deal with comes up, and that could be a struggle for them this time.
I would have thought that, but then after watching them play Dare on Tuesday and saw how well they were playing together, the chemistry that their team had, they didn't look like a team that had just come together. They looked like a team that had played together for a while, where 07 right now are actually on, I believe, a 3-game losing streak. Something that Meadowhawk was referencing during that wonderful interview was, there really is no sign of life in that team right now. You kind of wonder where they go. Well, if there was any sort of a pulse coming out of the team, it's a Letif, who's constantly able to perform, even with the rest of his team kind of falling apart at points. But Letif able to really consistently perform for that team, and he's the only bright spot in 07 right now. So
I wouldn't say that necessarily. I see where you're getting, but I do think that might be a bit harsh. Some of the other guys on 07, like Foster's a solid scout, right? So you've got a lot of that going on. But I do see what you're getting at. Letif is by and far performing very, very well.
Yeah, and the thing is he needs 1 or 2 other players on that team to step up with him and perform as well as Letif is doing to have a chance at maybe carrying this team and moving up to that next level. But right now, I feel like the rest of the team's kind of letting Letif down to a certain extent.
You could say that. And it's always very difficult to perceive kind of what exactly is going on. But it looks like battle number 1's about to start, so we're going to get straight into the match. Check it out.
Murovanka, a map with a great number of buildings, bushes and trees, amongst which teams hide for most of the battle. The attacking team begins the battle from the top of the village, and the defenders start from the bottom of the map. Both bases are better controlled from the hill near the first base, and from the green in the lower left corner of the map. There are many attack directions. The attacking team often attempts to gain the attention of defenders by putting pressure on the first base, whilst manoeuvring several tanks behind the second base to deliver fire into the defending's flank. Team setups are very diverse, but the players often choose the fastest tanks, even for heavy setups. They could even bring SPGs.
Lineups coming in. Top tier, an IS-4 and E5, 2 Batchats, a TVP, a Grill, and a 1390. 07 and E5, 4 Batchats, an STRV 103B, and Fosta in the M4043.
And that M4043 is heading up to the northwest. So you could call it a 3-3 split for 07's tanks, with their artillery moving to support in the west. Right now, those Batchats are going to be heading to the southeast for 07 to kind of scout things out. We've got the little blind fire, as you can see.
So what's likely happening right now, judging by the shots, is someone got lit by a tank. They're assuming it's from that bush based upon the angle where they were spotted. And maybe we're going to see a blind shot from Fosta towards that bush, try to get the connection.
Ex-Soldier looks like he's been lit, and so RD's going to focus on that. Looks like T110 is going to be west side, so I think 07 at this point is probably putting things together. They're probably seeing, okay, the layout of tanks from top tier. Looks like we've got T110 over in the west. Everything else should fall in line for a normal Southwest camp, right? I don't think there's any indication right now to 07 that there's anything but that strategy. And it's exactly that. Top tier's going for the standard Southwest defensive positions. And they've got the passive 1390. They've got the grill.
Don't change it if it's not broken.
Exactly. Usually works. You can see it in the stats. Spotting's already happened.
The thing is about this strat is there's so many different little intricacies you can change in it to make it your own, to do different little things and how you respond, how you deal with the cap. And so while it may look standard in the positioning that they play, what's really important is the second play they do, what they do after the tank, after their team makes their first play, whether they come down the 2 line towards that 1 cap or they start that 2 cap pressure. There are a lot of different things they can do to respond to either play.
Exactly. And we'll see what 07 decides to do with the first few minutes in that kind of first stage of a battle. Would you say 3 stages of a battle is generally what you can go for?
3 to 4. It really depends on the map, the lineups, what happens.
And personal opinion and how you like to kind of chop it up. Because, it's like some people like to say beginning, middle, end, and then some people want to
It also depends upon the strat. If you're running a reactive strat,
oh, hey, look at this!
Actually, proactive, and it's Delph out in front.
That's proactive. That's top tier getting proactive, and they're going to move up on the attack on the west side. I'm guessing the spotting onto Antipans tipped off top tier to the fact that 07 might not be completely all together. And so right now you're seeing...
Well, they spot the bat chat. The 1390 spots the bat chat over on the 9 line. So they know that's 1 tier 10 definitely out of the fight.
But Artie, nice hit right there from Fosta into Delph. That's going to really hurt this push and blunt the spear, as it were, as Delph will probably go down shortly, as Ledif might go down.
Taking a lot of shots. These bat chats opening up different angles, completely negating his front armor, and down goes Ledif, and every person that plays fantasy right now is crying inside because there goes a lot of fantasy points.
Yeah, there go my fantasy points. And that's going to give actually 07 enough time to recover. They've got their bat chats back into position. They're moving their final bat chat back to the northwest. And that's going to call for top tier to move their 1390 up from the south as well to assist. And there goes major issues. So 2 tier 10s are already down for 07. When I actually thought that for a moment, nice killed onto Delph.
They're going to try to pick up Merle Sheikta. They both miss. Merle Scarata, but those don't miss. They take him down. Rock's in here amongst the heavy tanks, but he's actually ignoring them, opting to go for the softer bat jets.
Absolutely. We're going to see if this is going to be something 07 can hold on to, as I have to give their defense, at least their artillery, a solid props for their defense, but everyone else is struggling to kind of come back, as the initial loss of Ledif is really hurting the team's ability to deal damage and stay in this fight.
Yep, a lot of damage going off towards Antipans, and now it is all down to Warbander and Fosta. Warbander, one of the main heavy tank players, actually playing a bat chat this round.
Yeah, very strange right there. And so, give it a moment and it should be over. This one's a pretty solid, clean play by top tier. 07 almost has the defense, but top tier not able to be thwarted in that. Even with 2-3 solid direct connections from Fosta and an M4043. And that's it. Battle number 1 is going to go to top tier. On defense with an aggressive opening. Rockstar, do you think that? What do you think of that? Solid play from top tier? I think that was risky, but it seemed like it paid off.
Well, it was calculated. You know how I mentioned the bat chat that was spotted by the 1390?
Yep.
That's on the one side of the fight, on the one side of the map. They knew that they had their tier 8, but they knew that 07 had one of their tier 10s.
Yes.
And then they also knew, looking at the lineups, that 07 were bringing an M4043, so an artillery. So often what callers do is they just ignore the artillery into there. And if it gets a shot off, great, but you just hope that they miss or they can't be super effective in a push. And you just take that risk. And so what happens here is they push up, and the IS-4, TVP, and the bat chats push around. But look in the distance there. Look at the E5 and Pompous. The way you control this 3-line is you need to have tanks on the high ground on both ends. And so this is what top tier do, is they take both sides, and then as they start to push these tanks from 07 back, the tanks sitting in the distance move forward once they recognize that all the tanks from 07 are directly in front of them. And that allowed them to take the map control, to really beat these guys up. And then the other part that really struck out was Ledif going down. The STRV 103B, or the S-Tank, it is not a tank that you play at close range unless it's a 1v1. If it's a 1v1, it's perfectly reasonable to expect that you can keep a tank in front of your frontal armor, keep that heat shield towards them, and just keep the part of your armor that is effective towards the other team.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that he goes down like that. Maybe a little aggressive. Maybe he wanted more support from his allies. But look at the damage. Bat Chat exits doing 2,300. Pompous right behind him. Rocks in the T110, E5. We saw him staying alive for as long as he could. He got plenty of time to get damage off and it didn't seem like Top Tier was getting too aggressive against him at first. And then the S-Tank from Ledev. He just comes screaming into that fight, and unfortunately wasn't able to get a beat on a target before he was not single-tracked, but I'm pretty sure double-tracked.
Well, another thing you have to remember is that S-Tank does have siege mode, so it has to hit X, and it takes 2 seconds to activate before he can aim up or down. He can aim side to side a little bit outside of siege mode, but it's really hard to get your gun on target because the gun, unless it's in siege mode, just stays at one angle, and the only way you can change it is by rocking back and forth, and even when you do that, it's extremely hard to get a shot on target.
Pretty tricky. So
it's possible, but highly unlikely.
And also not really recommended either, I'm pretty sure. And it looks like we're actually getting ready for battle number 2. So, Rockstar, 07's going to have to come back from a small deficit. If they can get a win here on defense, that sets them up pretty nicely for battle number 2 as we're going to move, or battle number 3 as we move to Cliff after this. For Rockstar, the opening lineups.
Top Tier coming in with an IS-4, Kronwagen, an E5, 3 bat shots, and opting for the M4043. 07, a Kronwagen, 4 bat shots, a TVP, and a Fosta, and the AMX 1390. 1390 normally opted for the passive tank just because it has a small profile and fairly good camo value.
All right, well, opening lineups have been discussed. Now it's either opening moves. Delth moving off to the northwest, so the strategy that we're seeing out of Top Tier on attack, similar in some ways to 07's on attack, also using an arty, moving around to the west. But the one difference I'll note, Rox, is they're not going to be moving anyone out to the east, so I think Top Tier's got it exactly what they want to do in mind. And the IS-4 Aghako. Let's look at this. Talk to me about this. IS-4 moving out to the west side of the map.
Well, looking at it, something to remember about that IS-4 is it's a pretty good hold-down tank. It doesn't have any huge cupolas on top where it can easily be picked off. It is vulnerable to arty, but 07 don't have any arty. Frontal armor on it's pretty strong. Lower plate can be a little bit weak, and also the front driver's hatch can also be a little bit vulnerable. But in this sort of situation, they can push them out here. They can use them hold down, or what they can do is they can push them straight into the village. And one of the things that the IS-4 does very well is side scrape. So you get them out here against these buildings where you can side scrape. You can sit there and shoot at the opposite angle along the 3 line, and just kind of take away an angle from 07, make it harder for them to get those resets. All
right, now the bat jets that have moved off into the east for 07 are starting to press in as base capture has started. Top Tier is on the number 1 cap, and the bat jets are at Ledev along with, looks like...
Well, and you could tell by this. You can tell by the setup that Top Tier are actually really worried about the one-line defense. They're worried about tanks sitting at G1 where they can get those easy resets towards that 1 cap. And you can tell that just by the positioning of the tanks. They have them sitting here just on cap. They have the IS-4 directly opposite of that spot. And then they have the artillery just behind them. And that artillery can sit there and just shoot shot after shot at any tank in the hole down there. And then they have these heavily armored heavy tanks with the good turret armor that can get hold down and face him and neutralize them out.
And look at that. Look at the way Top Tier is giving ground, not taking a single bit of damage, and then putting a little bit into Fosta for it. So I really like seeing that kind of a play from Top Tier. Normally we would see an attacking team put tanks on cap and then leave them there.
Yep. Well, speaking of leave them there, let's figure out exactly what Top Tier want to leave where as we listen into their comms right now.
They're pretty flexible. I think.
I'm gonna blind fire some shots here.
Okay.
They're not at the church. They're not at the church.
If you get to the cap, like, how safe are you? And you're applying cap pressure.
It depends. Like, if we can, like...
We're not that safe, that's the problem. I could do my little cap pressure thing again, see how it works. I just don't get track, that's the problem.
Just try it.
Just, okay.
Angle your drive a little bit, because I can cover you from the front, so...
Okay. The only place I can use that is straight ahead.
Delph, do you
like
see?
Down here.
Yeah, do you see?
Yeah, I'm covering that. I'm covering that right now.
Okay.
No, I don't see anything knocked down in the forest. And they're not at the church right here. I think they're farther back on the 7-8 line.
Yeah, they're definitely in the woods. Because I saw something get knocked down like over here. Like I saw a tree fall.
Okay, well that could just be one of the bats or TDP. Yeah. Probably a bat.
But the fact that we haven't seen anything yet is kind of suspect.
Right. We have 6 minutes. We're just trying to, like, guys, we just want to get some
They're probably
HP
just
off
playing
of them,
time,
okay?
dude. We just need to apply crap pressure and we'll be fine.
Yeah. They want to make it so our already can't do anything.
Yeah. They don't want to force a fight against us. We just need to. We need to
who's
force them to come
covering
in.
Rude? Who's covering Rude right now?
Yeah, and exits as well.
I can technically cover too if I go up farther a little bit.
Really worried about getting reset on cap there. Ex-Soldier knows what he's doing right now is risky. Doesn't want to get tracked and in turn get himself killed, because getting caught out right there in the open would be almost certain death.
And spotted. Ex-Soldier takes no damage. Fosta takes 455.
He's actually going to risk it because no one's in position to get the resets. You can't get the resets from the 7-8, so it's going to come down to the tanks along the one line. But like I said...
Rox is going for it. And actually, Ex-Soldier's going to back off and decide, actually, no, I'm going to get back on cap. And, okay. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I'll take it.
Well, the reason they're trying to do it from this side is that the reset angle that you cannot get from there is over towards the 6, 7, 8 line, which is what they were talking about.
Oh, sorry, I meant in reference to Ex-Soldier backing off of the cap.
Oh, no, I get that. I'm just talking about his general position, because this is a spot that we don't really see a lot of cap pressure put onto by a lot of teams.
Yeah, definitely not. And
normally they go towards that front left corner there on where that little bump is. But in this case, it's safe because there's no one on the one line, which is what I was talking about in terms of how top tier set up. They're set up to deal with it. They have that S4. They can get some shots out there, and they also have the artillery. And the sole reason you bring artillery on this, there's 2 angles that you want to be able to hit. That's F2 and G1. If you can get shots on those, every time they poke to get a reset, you can punish them with artillery. Even a missed shot should still be 700-800 damage as long as you're in the same postcode. And if you do that 2 or 3 times, you can chip away at the other team, and then you can go for a brawl.
All right, now Pompous has gotten himself on cap, so now 2 tanks on cap. And shots fired from Ledif far down range, and he's able to connect one into Pompous to the side of his turret. Another one comes from the opposite angle. Rock's able to get some damage. Expect Ledif to put more fire, and yes, he does. Nice crossfire from 07. It's going to pressure those top-tier tanks off of the cap. Artillery's trying to fire on targets, but doesn't look like any connections this time, as Delth is going to have to wait about 30 seconds to fire again. I guess top-tier is going to be waiting for that connection.
Yeah, I agree completely. They're just... The thing is with top tier right now is they either have to get this cap or they need to make some sort of play right now. If they could group their tanks up, they could bring the Batchats out of the north.
Oh no, look at this. Up in the north, major issues. Sorry to interrupt, but
looks
like
he caught Rude Awakening out.
Yeah, looks like he's caught him. Shots fired. He's got him down to 1176. He's got 2 shots left. He might be able to finish him off. He just needs to make one connection, and he does. And look at that. Major issues did not take a lot of fire at all for any of that. And so
he played the terrain perfectly, used the back of his tank where he has the gun depression, get some shots off. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Does
that's
the Batchat
pressuring a push, though, on the other side of the map.
Batchat question, which I can't actually remember right now. Does it get more gun depression off the back of the tank, or is it the same all the way around?
Same all the way around.
Okay. There are a few tanks where that's the case, like the 215B, but I wasn't sure with...
Looks like Pompous is going to take a lot of damage and go
He gets
down.
permatracked out by Warbander, ends up going down. Great play from Warbander.
Look at that gun depression in the Grandwagen. That's so absurd.
Negative 12 degrees of gun depression.
It's so nice to work with.
Yep, it's a dream tank to play. Now, obviously, the DPM on it is not great, and the slow reload between shells definitely can be a bit frustrating, but as long as your mindset at the beginning of battle is, where are there hills, where are there holddowns that I can go play, the potential that Kronwagen has, yeah, it can do so well in so many different situations right now. As Andy Pans, Makos, and Ledif all close on Ex-Soldier, going for the brawl. 07 are smelling some blood in the water. Andy Pans does pick up Ex-Soldier finally. Now they're going after Akako, who's pushed all the way down south. He isn't supported from the rest of his team. The thing to look at here is the number of shots that these Batchats have. Makos has 2. Andy Pans has 3. Rocks did have a full clip, though, softened up Akako, and now these Batchats are going to come in and take him out, making short work of it.
Nice reaction by 07. They dealt with top tier's aggression very, very well in this case, and you have to give them... If 07 had been much more aggressive much sooner, I don't think this plan would have paid off the same way. But because of the pick that 07 was able to get up north, and combine that with the reactions top tier went for.
Well, combine it with the intel that 07 gained. They realized that there was more Batchats in the north. Once again, top tier also had the artillery, so most times a caller's going to assume the artillery is a non-factor until it actually gets a connection. You're just going to assume that artillery is going to miss. You don't really count it in there. So unless the other team has
you can also look at it as a force multiplier, something that no matter where the engagement happens on the map, there's going to be the ability to help. And so it's dangerous because it's unpredictable.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. So there's different styles. Some people just take the risk. They go, all right, we're just going to bank that Artie doesn't get a hit off here. Hope it works out. And once again, like you just said, it can totally backfire because it absolutely is a force multiplier that may all of a sudden just completely delete a bat chat off the field. But, sometimes you just have to take the risk.
Yeah. And there we go. That's going to be top tier going down to 07, battle number 2.
And that's going to be Murovanka keeping up its record as a 1-1 map. Both teams winning on defense. Once again, this map has the highest defensive win rate of any of the maps in the league right now.
Yep. And so with that, looking at some post-game, I think damage-wise, Makos is going to get a shout-out. Actually, the top 4 almost getting the same. So Makos, Rocks, Major Issues, and Ledif. All of those guys are going to be picking up
it's really
over 2k damage that time.
It's really consistent damage from 07 outside of Fosta, who went down, but he was the 1390. Everyone else did above 1,000 damage, was able to get their shots in, work as their team, and that's the sign that you so often see out of teams like Apex, where all the players on the team are doing their part, contributing and working as a team. It's kind of when the teamwork's kind of lacking, where you see 1 or 2 players really step up and put up those high damage numbers, is when the rest of the team kind of lacks off, bounces some shots, or just isn't coordinated as everybody else.
Yeah, and I love seeing this, because right now Rude Awakening's trying to do what he can, but you can just see it. Major Issues knows exactly what's going on. The support fire was there, and 07 was able to just take one tiny victory and turn it into a win.
And looking at it, we're going into Cliff, which, as I said earlier, this is a map where top tier have been completely dominant on. It's one of the few maps that top tier can actually say that on, because their overall record is pretty lackluster. Not to knock on them, but their map pool is not the greatest right now. But Cliff is one of the maps where you can tell they are completely comfortable and have been for a while. Now, some of these maps have come into the map pool recently. However, Cliff, one of the ones that they're much more rehearsed in.
And look at that, Makos 2,997 in his bat chat.
And then Rocks getting all those defense points, getting 122 fantasy points. Not bad stuff out of him.
Not at all. So, we're going to be moving on to Cliff next, Rocks. And I really want to talk about that. What are your predictions for Cliff? How do these teams play it? What do you expect to come up next?
Well, with Cliff, top tier have played it a couple of different ways, but they tend to go more aggressive on offense. And while that sounds kind of obvious, they're one of the teams that definitely is a bit more aggressive. They're willing to take more risks. They go for things a little bit earlier than other teams. They have an understanding of their overall game plan, where a lot of teams tend to just go towards the middle, figure out what the other team's doing, and try to slow it down, get some damage, and then kind of make a decision late. It's top tier on their offense. They have a clearly defined game plan. You could tell what they want to go for, and unless something's horribly wrong instantly and they recognize that something's not going to work, they just go for it, and they make it work.
Yeah, and with 90% versus the 50, right? Yep. This is favored for a top tier. So they can really start to run away with this one.
Yep. Well, let's see if top tier can run away with it as we head into our next map.
Cliff, the most dynamic map in the league. Battles on Cliff always turn into desperate double-edged fights. Teams start from the same spots as they do in standard battles. The first base is located near the defender's spawn point, and the second is at the bottom of the hill. Sometimes teams split their forces and send several tanks through the 1-2 line to the left of the small hill, but usually both teams play at the center. The attacking team can send one of the tanks up to the lighthouse or behind it. Fast and quick-firing vehicles are better suited for this map, mainly medium tanks, including tanks equipped with autoloaders.
Well, looking at this, I'm sure the one thing that just caught everyone's eye, 07 bringing 2 E50s and 5 bat chats. Meanwhile, top tier, 4 bat chats, a TVP, an STRV 103B, and the T54 lightweight Rude Awakening.
But why?
Why not? It's the better question.
No, seriously.
If I had to take a guess, it's a brawling tank. That's what that tank is designed for. It has 2 things that it does well. One, point-blank face-hugging. It's decent, even though turret armor's weak. It can get in people's faces, and it rams well. And then the other thing is that gun is fairly accurate, being a German gun, and it hits hard.
So if we actually see some ram kills from E50s, it'll pay off. That's the only thing I see of the 2. But I always still question it, because I'm like, what if it doesn't work? What if they just decide to engage at a very medium and reasonable range? Because medium, like 200 meters away from an E50 in cover, that's a great place for a bat chat, because it's not long enough that the E50 is going to win out with his accuracy at range, and you're still probably going to be fine. You know, that's the engagement range I would go for with an E50 or against an E50. With the E50 though, E50's boss is going to peek out and whacked twice.
Take a lot of damage, 805.
Yeah, there. They're 1,092. So Commodore now going to move up. He's looking around, but no, takes one in the back. E50s are really large targets, so it's quite easy for them to take damage like this. And,
Well, I know it's normally towards the tier 10. I will say, apparently E50 is weak.
What is going on? Foster, I think, just tried to simp, but I don't think that really worked out. There he goes. And now Morel comes in. He's going to finish off Commodore.
Kako gets a shot into Andy Pans from across on the low ground spot there. TVP in the backfield able to pump out some shots. Andy Pans taking his ammo rack. Warbander taking a lot of damage. He's down to a one-shot. And this is not working out for 07.
I mean, in some ways, it kind of didn't work out for top tier, too. It's kind of flopped a little bit in some ways because Morel just went down, and Pompous, again, is down in the ST, in the S-Tank. So X-Soldier's going down. Exits is now taking a lot of fire.
Exits is getting caught out, 1588.
No, the positions from top tier aren't really together right now. Actually, 07, even though the E50
and
deal
Delph
didn't look
from downtown picks up the kill on Namakos, and now Major Issues is going to go over, try to take out Exits, takes a shot from the TVP. He drives towards the corpse, trying to get to cover, bounces one from Delph.
There's no one has shots. No one has any ammo left to fire upon.
Yep, and now Ledif pushes in and lights Delph, and all of a sudden this isn't looking terrible for 07, despite being down on HP.
It's like they actually used the E50s as bait because everyone doesn't. They did what we did, dude. They just looked at them and they said, "Wait, why are you bringing E50s? We're not going to let those work." And then in attempting to counter them, those bat chats moved in from the east on 07, and yeah, it's been a little rough.
The problem is with that E50 is the strong point of the armor is its upper front plate. It is not a tank that engages well at range once it's spotted. It can snipe, but as Rude Awakening takes out Ledif, Rude definitely needs to come up big here for his team. Normally not a player we highlight for his playability, but he can handle himself. And right now he has all the HP from top tier, essentially. Delph has sub HP to play with. Apako is a two-shot.
I think Rude's T-54 lightweight play is probably going to be able to clean this one up. He's got a one-shot into Major Issues. And then the gun's damaged on Andy Pans, right? That's that symbol means, I believe.
Correct.
And so you could do this.
There's two one-shotters and one two-shotter for him, while Warbander is a one-shotter for the Batchats left alive from top tier if they roll average.
Yeah, is 285 Andy Pans could live, right?
285?
I think
depends on the gun shooting him. The T-54 lightweight, yes, it's a one-shot, 240 alpha, I believe.
Yeah, that's about right. So I was just thinking, yeah, he might not get the kill.
He's just poking up and over, trying to see if he spots anything, but little does he know that all of the Batchats are coming up the backside of the hill right now. So if Rude's not careful...
If he finds this, though, that could be awesome for top tier.
This could backfire or it could work out for him. It depends on how quickly Rude spots this.
I think that might be a theme that's starting to emerge throughout this whole series, is this might backfire and it might just work a little bit for both, because that was both previous battles.
As Meadowhawk mentioned, a little bit of Dareitis, I guess you could say.
Dareitis? What was the rival one he mentioned? That was beautiful.
Or not Dareitis, Rivalitis. There we go.
That was so well done. And there you go.
And there he spots one of them, so now they may reposition, and Rude knows to stay safe. Because if he goes over towards the south here and he gets caught out, say he gets tracked, there is nothing Delph or Kako can do to save him. He's on his own at that point.
Exactly. And so Rude Awakening has to just worry about getting the spotting. He needs enough intel to know where all three tanks are, and then he can start playing risky. Until then, he really needs to hold on and not get too aggressive, because he has 1,250 hit points, right? And as a scout, you don't have really that much armor. So if he exposes himself too much, just like we've seen with the S-tanks in the previous battles, if you get too exposed, you might just get tracked, you might get caught out, and then you'll go down. You can't risk that, because all of a sudden, in one moment, you could turn a full health scout into dead, and you might not deal any damage if it's in the wrong place. So Rude has to be very careful, and a lot is hinging on his ability to scout right now.
Well, and he's playing this perfectly. He's just staying on the low side. He's staying where the guns of Delph and Hako can cover him. Remember, the TVP of Delph is sitting up at A5 in the high ground, so he has a pretty good angle on top of the hill. Hako's angle is a little bit lackluster, but still good enough as long as Rude Awakening can back down quickly enough.
All right, and actually, we're going to be getting ready. We're going to probably listen in with Rude Awakenings and top tier, because I want to hear how they're handling this, because this is a difficult problem for top tier if they want to try and defend against 07. Well, 07's bat chats have to figure out how to maneuver around the map. Let's go ahead and listen in.
That means they have to go listen to us.
If there's a guy that's trying to spot you on the 1-2, you need to go into him. That's your only chance of survival if they get the crossfire that I think they're going to set up. Okay.
Delta will be fine.
I should also have shots on them if they get close enough to spot Delph.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all one shots, so.
Well, no.
Are they
no, there's one that's not a one shot.
Right?
One's 2.
One's 400, one is 250, the other
No,
one's like
185.
One can be
195.
killed by Delph with one shot, so that's
One
fine.
can be killed by me in one shot. The other guys are 2 shots for me.
Yeah.
And like one of them is 1 shot for you guys.
One's a guaranteed 1 shot for Hako, or 2 are guaranteed 1 shots for Hako, and 1 if Delph
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Guys, watch your bodies for destroyed shit.
I'm lit.
Right
The nipple.
It's a nipple, for sure.
I don't think so.
Rude, don't poke it. There's no way they could have let you otherwise.
No, I don't think so. I think it was just some weird, crazy spot.
It has to be the nipple.
No, it's the nipple, dude.
No, it's the nipple and
It's
you
from
shot.
here, dude.
No,
Yeah,
they
you
can't
fired.
be the nipple. They can't see me from the nipple because they don't have a view range.
If they have optics,
You
they
shot.
No, because I'm a light tank. They can see a
No,
medium, but
you're-
not light.
What if they were down
camel-
here?
Your camel
No,
drops.
they cannot be down there. They cannot be down here.
No, he let him.
Let me check. Let me check. I could shoot and check.
There he is. He's right there.
It's okay. But keep him there. Keep him there.
Two minutes.
Maybe we should have just gone up the regular way.
I'm getting blind fired from the nipple.
You hit?
I got hit once.
From the nipple?
Yeah, they're on the
Yeah.
nipple.
I mean, I can quickly peek.
Yeah, they got 2 minutes, so.
But don't peek, Ohako. Don't give him information.
Right. I mean, independence will sooner or later discover that I'm here.
All right, so to just kind of explain that one real quick, because we obviously have to. The nipple is one of the nicknames for the mountain in the west side of the map in Echo 3, 4, Foxtrot 3, and 4.
Also commonly called the donut.
Yeah, the donut's the broadcast version we came up with.
Circular on the minimap. Easy
Exactly.
to spot.
Precisely. So, yeah, it's going to be a second before we see any of this come through. And actually,
Well, minute 15 left on the clock, so if there is going to be a play that comes out from 07, it's going to be now. They did manage to put a shot into Delph blind, but they won't know that connected. They'll have an idea, but they won't know for sure. So pretty much everyone left alive is a 2-shot for top tier, if you look at it. 546, 543, and 452. The only one, Rude Awakening, is possibly a 1-shot by an insane high roll out of a bad chat. Highly unlikely, but not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and this is a very 07 style kind of a end of battle where they're going to try and use as much of the time as possible to get their lead. The downside to this is sometimes it ends up costing them. They're going to be under a lot of pressure to finish this up. They're not going to have any extra time to
And look,
clean
Bat Chat of Warbander is going to close, but he's going to go down before he can do anything. Andy Pants comes over the top.
Oh, the
Delph
cover.
picks up that one as well.
Nice cover
And
fire.
that's it. That is over. I'm going to call that over right then and there.
Yep.
24 seconds left on the clock.
Well, technically actually not over. Sorry. Rox, you probably shouldn't just directly say that because it's actually major issue still alive. Yes, it's over in 10 seconds, though.
He can't win that.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Scared our production guys, though.
Yeah, sorry about that, production. But for all intents means, now it is over. Now we come down to 0 seconds. The clock is out. Red timer up top.
See, and he drives around the corner just at the right time to start going to the spin. Classic spins. All right, so that's going to be another win.
For top tier.
For top tier, yep.
And Delph. Now, Delph is a player that we haven't really talked a whole lot about this season. He hasn't typically been one of the top fantasy performers.
Yeah.
However, after the last couple of match days, he's now up into the top 10 on overall fantasy points. And this game, he did almost 4,000 damage and 3 kills in that TVP.
Really? 4,000 almost. So that's, and right behind him, actually, Exit's got about 3K as well, right?
Yep, and then even...
so the damage was a little one-sided there.
Definitely.
Yeah, just kind of throw
Well,
all
you
that
have to
damage
remember,
onto
he
two
was-
players who are covering everyone, right?
You have to remember that look at the position he's playing back there. It's essentially the cover position, the spot where everyone else on your team gets shot at, but you just get to sit there and click, click, click.
And it finally paid off. We never get to see that almost. Almost no team actually gives another team the opportunity to fire.
Yeah, well, a lot of it comes from these E50Ms, which he was the big one getting all these shots into. And then later in the game, he was able to get a lot of shots on the stuff towards the hill, and then he single-handedly killed up those 2 Bat Chats when they decided to push their rides to tail end. And then Exit's getting caught out here. He went aggressive, got some damage, but that ended up not working out for him because Makos, or Major Issues, excuse me, just goes over, takes a lot of damage for it, gets the shot, but then ends up going down. And then right towards the end there, the Batchat's trying to get that T-54 lightweight. Not able to get enough connections, though. Not able to clean guns up quickly enough.
No, definitely not. 07's having a little trouble right there on the attack, but this is something we predicted. Top tier's got solid defense and attack on Cliff, so they should be able to swap sides here and take the next win, probably, which should put them about a 3-1, and 07's looking to be at a real deficit. But anything can happen, of course. Always hold on for that one.
And look at the one other thing I want to point out here, the 50Ms, only one of them, or 50, excuse me, one of them doing 1,000, the other one only getting in around 500. So not really able to be effective. Now, what do you think they were going for with those E50s now that we've seen how the battle played out?
Yeah, and in hindsight, it makes a lot more sense. Send them up the middle. They're a big enough distraction that if you happen to meet your enemy face-to-face, let's smash things. Because the E50 versus a Batchat, you're going to get a free, like, almost 300 damage.
Well, you weigh twice as much.
Exactly. You're going to get a solid shell's worth of damage or more just from the ram. So if you just do that and then you take a bunch of damage, paid off. Otherwise, maybe not. We're about to start battle number 4, giving 07 another chance to see if they can put a point on Cliff, really improve their performance so far. And then it looks this time, though, lineups are very, very different. Not quite the E50 lineup from last time.
No more Tier 9. We will see top tier with 6 Batchets and an M40-43, a lineup that's been very successful this season. Meanwhile, 07, 5 Batchets, a TVP, and a T49. Now, one thing I do want to point out here, that double E50M lineup, the double Tier 9 lineup, 2 Tier 9s on offense this season only have a 41% win rate on the season when you run 2 Tier 9s versus the 49% win rate we see on attack from teams with a Tier 8 lineup. So just a little interesting tidbit there. And then like I
Oh, hey, look at this, Rox. Sorry to interrupt. Look at the way things are moving. I think so. I hope so. Because right now, I'm seeing a bunch of tanks move middle. Warbender, Andy Pans, Makos moving to the low ground to try and get early shots.
Pop's here ready for it. They're set up with the crossfire. Warbender being the one who's focused out. 1166, and he goes down instantly. Andy Pans is going to come around next. He gets deleted by Rude Awakening. Puts the shot in there. Major Issue is going to be the next one found for 07, and this is not looking good for him.
No, it is not. Even with the high ground, 07 doesn't have the positions to out-damage top tier. And so top tier is able to put the crossfire all over their opponent. Fosta, even though he's all the way in the west, now I think top tier groups up, probably pushes the middle, and might even be able to break the defensive line of 07. But they might decide to hold back and instead go for reloads, play it a little safer, because pushing forward is still risky. Leadoff is still alive, just barely.
Well, I will say this, that Apex injection that Meadowhawk gave his team apparently has not kicked in yet because...
It takes 48 hours, up to 48 hours to become effective.
Okay, so by Saturday, on match day then, they'll be playing well? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You're picking up what I put down. Look at this. Zitz, X-Soldier on the low ground are going to move around to the west. With artillery support, they should be able to take down Fosta. I like that. Zitz exits, flips himself around, backs out to try and peek for any tanks from 07 that might be watching down.
And I will say this. Hopefully 07, hopefully that Apex injection that they got kicks in by Saturday because they play Apex on Saturday.
Well, I mean, give them a taste of their own medicine?
You have to hope, and X-Soldier and Exits roll in there, take out Fosta. 4 tanks left alive. One of them is Ledif, who goes down. Rox goes down in the TVP. Makos goes down, and this is all but over, and now is over for 07. Top tier pulling ahead 3-1. I said that this might be the map where they could pull away, get the extra win on both sides, and there it goes.
That's it. So, things are falling in place for top tier. 07's got a lot to work on in order to try and bring themselves back. We've got Steps, though. And Steps being the next map for top tier, if I check the statistics, I'm a little bit worried for Steps for top tier. 14%, there's no way 14% is really... okay.
Yeah.
14% on Steps amongst 7 battles. That's, of course, an incredibly small.
They have one win on defense,
size, but
1 win on defense, and they have of their 3 attacks, they haven't won 1. And now it is notable that 07 haven't really played it a whole lot. Well, they played it 10 times.
They've got it 10 times. They got a 50-50. So the thing is, 07's put up some solid strategies. I think top tier in the past, if I remember correctly, and you do as well, I believe we saw some S-tank play and ultimately high-risk kind of plays as well.
Well, we've seen a lot. The thing that top tier's done on defense a lot is they've run that very aggressive north defense with, like you said, the S-tank and the Kronwagens.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, every team they've played has had a good answer for it.
Okay, so we'll have to see what these guys are able to bring to the next map. But after this, we've got the replay up now. So top tier, I love the way they handled this. It wasn't something I saw coming together until it just barely did, because top tier was on the same kind of warpath towards the middle, but 07 has a better jump, meaning there's less travel time for them to get to their position, and they got there first. So 07 gets there first, top tier sees this, says, okay, this is our reaction, and also look at the opening moves that they went for. I think X-Soldier moving around the way he did kind of predicted the opening attack.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And the one thing you also have to look at here real quick, sorry to segue, is Foster in that T-49 not able to be effective. I didn't see which gun he was running, but he was not able to get any connections in there.
It didn't really work out. He was too far out of range. He tried to, I believe, fire the derp, but it didn't really connect. And so when that doesn't happen, sometimes your tank just doesn't connect, and, well, that's about as much as you need to say, because if you don't put shots on target, I mean, it's a very John Madden kind of a thing to do,
Well, we'll have to see if 07 can finally find some connections as we head on to Steps.
Steps, the most open map in the league. The attacking team appears near the rocks at the bottom of the map, and the defending team starts at the top. Bases are located near the railway and on the green. The best way to control them is to use the lowland near the second base. The attacking team usually begins the attack from the rocks and the railway, but sometimes they can attack through the green. Teams often drag vehicles from flank to flank, so both teams usually pick light vehicles with a good camouflage rating, but sometimes use tanks with a strong turret and even SPGs.
And it looks like we actually we have a disconnect.
Yep.
So we will restart the training room here real quick and get underway.
Yep. Back to garage. Here we go. So once everyone gets back in, we'll be all set. Looks like we had just one of the players DC somewhere. So happens from time to time. It's been a while since we've seen one.
Yeah, I haven't really had too many since the qualifiers when we had that.
Oh, that was a fun night.
That was fun.
That was when we got top tier and topper tier. Who's playing tonight?
Ironically enough.
Yeah, so top tier, when they were coming on into the league, there was a rough night we had when they were qualifying. Actually could have really jeopardized their chances, but they managed to stay strong and get the wins.
Well, and the qualifiers are not meant to be easy. They're meant to put teams through the ringer to make sure that they can, it is a gauntlet. They have to run the gauntlet to make sure they get here in the Gold League.
Yep, got to submit their replays and Python logs every night, make sure they get everything organized and on time, behave just like a Gold League player that's already in, prove they've got on every level the chops to make it. And only a few teams are ever able to really step out away from the rest of the crowd and really show how amazing they are. Top tier was one of those teams.
Now, a little bit of a throwback here to all the teams that you have ever seen through the qualifiers.
Yes.
Of the teams coming out of the qualifiers, which one impressed you the most? Just out of the qualifiers, which one did you have the highest hope for? At all, not just the season, but just through history. Which teams got you the most excited?
Okay, so I've definitely fallen in love with top tier before. When they've come through the qualifiers, they've always shown up with a solid roster. What was it? Kittens. Remember Kittens?
Refuse to Die. That's what I was going to say.
Refuse to Die was one of those way back in the time, way back when. You always have these one or two teams that come into the league, and you can tell they've got the aptitude somewhere, right? You can see that there's maybe one or two players, or maybe you see one strategy or one play where you say, "Oh, that team's got the potential to win." These guys are winners, or they're ready to be. They're ready to be at this level, and all of a sudden, it just happens in one match, and all of a sudden, it just keeps going.
It was really frustrating, especially with Refuse to Die, because they come in through the qualifiers, they look really hot, and it was really enjoy to watch. So you say, all right, they're going to get in the Gold League, and they might actually do something.
Yeah.
And then the Gold League starts, and all I can see is that meme of the kid with the stick just poking it, saying, do something, because that's kind of what happened after a while.
A little bit. Top tier's been struggling more in the sense that you see them make these mistakes from time to time that they themselves admit to and know about, that they really throw them off their game, or they just don't make a reaction when they should have, or they're just a bad call. And sometimes it's that simple, where it's just, hey, sometimes you're just not as tight and well organized as someone else. And that's what Top Tier is going to be doing this season. So is Valence as well.
And I will say the other thing is terms of teams coming up into the Gold League. The other team that's really been impressing me, Valence, while they're still down in 7th place, there's a lot of promise from that team. And, look at the last 3 teams to come out of the Silver League. They're all still in the Gold League right now. You have Eclipse came out of the Silver League, then Deja Vu, now Dare Rising, came out of the Silver League season before last, and now Valence coming out last season, starting this season. All 3 teams that have come up from the Silver have performed very well.
All right, so it looks like we're about to get back into battle. So taking a look at the lineups, Rockstar.
Top Tier, 113, a Kronwagen, 3 Batjets, a Centurion Action X, and an RU-251, 07, a Kronwagen, 3 Batjets, 4 Batjets, excuse me, an STRV 103B played by Ledif, and Fosta opting for the M4043. Kind of interesting to see him play Artie for the second time tonight. He has the most spotted tanks of anyone in the league right now, and also the highest average. Yet he's only played a light tank twice tonight. And a big connection already on Dog Hako, putting him down to 13-15.
Andy Panzo going to take a little damage, so a little bit of a back and forth. 07 still at a lesser.
Makos is spotted right now. However, Top Tier don't have any artillery, so he's really in no danger.
So, Centurion Action X. Let's talk a little bit about that, because we don't normally see that tank chosen. I myself am grinding out my Action X. I'm at the 7-1 right now, but why do you think it belongs in the league? Do you think it's a tank that normally you'd see? Or
this is where I stand on it. The thing about it is when you look at it, what do you want to bring when you bring the Action X? What are you looking for? You're looking for gun depression typically?
Hesh.
Kind of. It doesn't. The hesh shells don't get used as often. Well, I see what you're
really
going for.
Good, though.
Against bat chats, that's about it.
Top of an S tank?
I don't think it would actually pen because it has the heat shell you have to worry about. Those hesh shells are not. They have the same thing as the heat shells as far as once they hit something, they explode.
Yeah, but have you noticed the arc on them? They kind of droop a little bit.
It's not something you can consistently rely upon. Well, it can't happen. That's an accuracy by volume thing where you have to fire a lot of shots to get that perfect RNG to drop that shell in there. It's not something that I really would want to count on. My point is this.
Yeah.
Is if you're bringing the Action X, you're looking either for the high alpha or you're looking for the hold down ability and gun depression. You're not looking for the Action X to bring something mobile to your lineup, something that can flex around. So then I ask this question, why not bring either a Kronwagen or a E5 in its place? Tanks that have the gun depression, they have the turret armor, they have a harder hitting gun, and DPM is comparable-ish because the Action X's DPM is not that great.
Well, consistent fire, though. So you've got a consistent fire tank.
So an E5.
Suppress a position. Although the E5, you got the Empire State Hatch.
The whole turret for the Action X is weak, though. The whole top half of that turret is penetrable by heat shells.
Fair enough. This is true.
Anywhere above the gun, you put a heat shell into it, as long as it's not at some awkward angle, it's going to pen.
Yeah, this is something I've come to realize playing the tank. And so, Rude Awakening has...
going to just push in. They recognize that maybe Makos is here alone, so they're going to get aggressive, but they're going to fall into a trap right now, and Rude's going to take some damage.
I don't know if they've fallen quite into it yet. They've detected Makos, so maybe they can kind of hold this fight off for a moment. The Action X is going to start moving up. And Foster's been spotted, so he has to back off in the M4040.
I don't get Top Tier's decision-making right here. They know Makos is there. Now, the only... To why they're still here is my question. The original push I can kind of agree with because they were hoping that the other team had rotated out to the 8-9. Maybe they can get a pick onto Makos easy or whatever. The other tank is over here, probably 1 or 2 tanks supporting them. However, the second they spotted all these guns here, they recognize that this is a fight they don't want to take. They're defending. Back out. Don't waste your HP on this. And that looks like what they're finally realizing they need to do.
Maybe so. I'm wondering if Top Tier does have an idea about what's going on.
Well, and they figured it out. Look at the RU. Look at Rude Awakening.
Yeah.
He is, or not Rude Awakening. Who's in the RU right now? Muriel. He's actually in the RU, taking the place from Rude, and he's going to go over there, and he's going to check the 8-9 line. And so now they know for a fact that all the guns are here in the south. They don't necessarily know where each of them are, but by process of elimination, they've taken away one side of the map. They said, all right, there's nothing here, so that means they have to be on the other, and that'll allow a lot of flexibility. Sometimes... not gaining info is gaining info.
A lack of intel is intelligence enough, sure.
No.
Absolutely. Nah, look at this. I didn't notice. When did Andy Pans make the climb?
That is a climb that I know that he loves personally. I've had him do that in many battles before, and he gets up there, and it can really shut down the side of the map.
When
in other battles, not in League. We'll go with that.
No. When did he do this earlier in this battle?
Just a minute before.
Okay, because I was wondering, has he been up there the whole time? And I was kind of confused because I don't remember this. And then he's all of a sudden up there, and I'm like...
This is one of the spots that Andy Pan's pride and joy. It's one of his things where he's like, hey, you don't know how to do this boost? I'll show you. I'll show you. He's always eager to go in there and be a mountain goat and impressed with his mountain climbing skills.
And he'll just stick up top of the...
He's one of those players that will spend hours upon hours just trying to do different climbs in training rooms, see what he can break, what he can find, and find
he's
his
one
spots.
of those guys that breaks games.
Yep. Just like Vetro and Exo from Eclipse. They're the same type of players. They will sit there and they will do them in pub matches over and over again. Andy Pans is the same way. Let's see what way...
I think Andy Pans was just entertaining shooting Commodore.
No, he was looking at it, and to be fair, he has the high. Andy Pans has the highest team damage done of anyone in the league, so it would not surprise me.
He does like to kind of sneak in a cheeky shot at the end of a battle here and there onto an ally. I've seen him do it a few times. He's fun. He's always he's a character. All right.
Now, the interesting little tidbit that just popped up there, 4 of the 5 top fantasy players are in this match. Now, the reason for that is because both these teams, while they're struggling, they play long series. They don't get clean wins. They get series that go 5-2, 5-3, 5-4 a lot. And so there's more opportunities for them to get a lot of points. If you look at the averages, the story is vastly different.
Yep. And look at this. 07's going to decide to group up and go towards the middle, preparing themselves for another attack.
But little do they know, Pompous in this Action X is sitting here, hold down, staring at that road.
So is this the point of the Action X on this map? I guess this might prove whether or not it's got any use, or whether or not a top tier knows how to use it. As I believe that spotting should happen in just a moment, should it not?
Now, the one thing I will say about the Action X is it is a little bit more accurate than an E5, but its survivability is significantly lower. He does get a nice opening shot into the bat chat.
Although that's not going to last him very long, as Artie comes in on the Action X. He's able to dodge that. Andy Pans actually stops short, as they... I'm pretty sure 07 should know that they're about to walk into a crossfire, and they just start to realize it now. So those guys need to figure out what direction they're going to go quickly, or else all of these bat chats are about to go down. Warbander's starting to get out, but there goes Andy Pans. There goes Major Issues, about half hit points. Warbander gets himself tucked in, and now 07's even discovered that Muriel is all the way up in the northeast. He's made the jump, the boost as well.
And now Pompous is going to work the gun depression. He's going to take a shot, though, for 385. Ex-Soldier does take down Makos in the background. And now Pompous is going to keep working this ridge against these 2 bat chats.
Yeah, this isn't working out too well for 07. They tried to go for the attack, but they haven't been able to get shots on
target. And the S-Tank moves in, comes in the middle road. He's going to start getting some shots off towards Pompous. Actually, he's going to have to duck down into the low ground once he gets spotted, and this is just falling apart for 07. Once again, the blind YOLO push that Meadowhawk was worried about, not working once again for 07.
Yeah, that looks like they're trying their best, but connections aren't happening. 245, 1 or 2 more shells onto Major Issues are going to take him down. There he goes, Commodore. Also going down to the Kronwagen elsewhere on the map. And now Warbender. Just give him 1 second, and, well, that should be the end of him.
Pompous making this Centurion Action X that we questioned work. He's been pumping out a lot of damage this game, but I think a lot more of this has to do with how 07 played, not necessarily because of the capabilities of that Action X. And that's going to be Fossa, the last one left alive. Pompous is going to line it up, get the shot, and it's actually going to be Delft that's going to sneak it in there, take down Fosta.
That was fun.
And that is going to be a 4-1 lead in favor of Top Tier.
All right, so Top Tier's already made a solid play for this battle. We'll have to see what they do next, as it's match point. So Top Tier was 1 more, and it's over. That'll be a 5-1 to...
You want to know what type of battle this was?
What? Oh, what? No, it was an ace! Oh,
it was
man.
an ace, but on top of that...
Oh, that
there
hurts.
was only 1 player that scored low on Top Tier below any one of 07. 1 single player.
That was Del?
6 players were higher than everyone else on the other team.
Ouch. That hurts a lot. That really, really hurts.
And Fosta, understandably so, calling a timeout right now.
Yeah, got to stall things out and make sure that his team understands what's going on.
Yeah, and the next map is going to be Steps. Or no, we just came out of Steps. It's going to be Ruinberg, a map that neither of these 2 teams are particularly impressive on. A 50% over 2 battles coming out from Top Tier, where 07...
This is 1 more in Steps, dude. This is 1 more time.
We have 1 more in Steps. Where am I going?
Top Tier's got to take it on attack now, and if Top Tier's able to win on attack, this is over.
Okay, let me put it to you this way, because it's correct there.
Yeah.
I'm getting too far ahead of myself. But if we go to Ruinberg, well, Top Tier haven't really played it too much. They did have a great time on it the other day. We watched Rude Awakening outplay Dare Rising on it.
Do you remember this?
That was a great play there. So they've only played it twice out of that 1 series. 07 have played Ruinberg 10 times, and they've only have a 30% win rate. So
here we go. Centurion Action X, 3,000 damage. What's up? Huh? A Rockstar?
70 fantasy points.
It worked.
It worked.
It worked.
But you have to look at the position he was in. He was in a position where no matter what tank was there, was going to pump out that sort of damage versus the Batchets. In the wide open field, the side of an S tank, an E5, or any other hold down tank would have pumped out the same amount of damage.
Yeah, but it still worked.
My point is there are still better tanks to be putting in those same positions.
Still worked.
Okay, Randall.
I'm all for the Centurion Action X, man. I really want the tank to work out pretty well.
Well, I said earlier that you can be a little bit eccentric, and this comes in.
It feels to me like the patent that should have been is the way I feel about the Action X. Because at the high tiers, the patent is a tank that's been in the game a long time. And just like when I played the T-54, the Patton was the gun, had the actually really high-performing gun.
Well,
you had to hold down, you were able to gun
The Patton was the original right-click, left-click tank.
Yeah, and that was awesome.
Yep, you just auto-aim on somebody, click, and the shell velocity was so fast that it would just instantly connect no matter how far away they were.
But the chassis and the turret and everything about the hull was not so great for me. So I kind of wanted something a little better. And to me, the Centurion Action X looked like the little better that I wanted. Or that you could say instead of a little better, the more into my taste. And so I like it. I like the Action X. It's a solid performer.
Now here's a question for you.
Yes, okay.
It's 4-1 in favor of top tier.
Yeah.
07 have 1 point right now.
Yeah.
What are 07 discussing right now? What do they need to do on this next round of steps to turn this around and get into the series?
Well, knowing 07, I mean, there's a lot of places their team could be in right now. So if they're all on the same page and they're calm, cool, and collected, they're just figuring out their strategy. What I think is probably happening right now, based on the gameplay, based on the way the series is going, talk to me, but I think this is going to be Foster trying to just get his team rallied. Because this is not good. This is rough. This is amazing for top tier. They've come out and they've really just shown 07 how it's played, but 07's probably reeling right now.
Well, this is going to be really hard for them to start getting some momentum and formed rally troops because they're on a 3-game losing streak right now. They're 1 rounder away from a 4-game losing streak. They started off this season great. They looked like a team that was going to be a contender in the playoffs and maybe even a contender for that second place spot. And right now, they're on the brink of going down into the relegation zone. Looking at the lineups, we'll get back to that in a second. Look at the lineups. An IS-7, 4 Batchets, a Grill, and an RU-251, 4 top tier. 07, a 113, a Kronwagen, 3 Batchets, the STRV 103B, and the RU-251.
So with this one, it looks like 07 on defense is setting themselves up for a solid camp. But the attack, I think top tiers brought the damage. They brought the scout. No artillery, though, so they can't afford to waste too much time, or I doubt that they'll be able to use that too effectively. But that Grill 15, that support fire might be the difference here between an attack win for top tier or a defense win for 07. And
one thing I do want to point out real quick, Rude Awakening and Fosta squaring off in these RU-251s. They are number 1 and number 3 in spotted tanks this season. So 2 very good scout players for both teams. We've highlighted both for different reasons at different points, but Fosta is one of those scout players that tends to get himself into trouble sometimes because he gets too aggressive.
From time to time, but there are times when it's paying off, and there's a little counter-scout run going on right now. Rude Awakening is going for an incredibly aggressive, high-risk little move off to the mid, but he's gotten himself spotted. Fosta decided to do what scouts do when they try and counter someone out, and, well, he's gone passive. Now he's spotted. Commodore and Warbender are also spotted. Rude Awakening is spotted now. Ledif as well, and Major Issues. That's almost every tank from 07 that counts. And guess what? Rude Awakening just lived.
Well, let's go ahead and listen into 07 right now and see how they respond from this push of top tier.
All right,
We need to wait for heavies to get back.
Right away,
The heavies are almost coming.
Let us just drop down. Heavies drop down.
Yeah.
The grill's poking. The grill's poking.
The grill fire.
I'm clipping for 23.
Don't know.
They're coming on me now. They're moving on me now.
90, I'm coming to your left.
Zitz is trying to get me.
Are we trying
I'm suppressing the grill.
Let the ground abuse depression. Hello.
Merle's coming over the top.
I can shoot Merle in a second here.
Nico, sorry, I gotta
I'm
be
done.
aggressive because
I'm getting some shots. I'm just trying to stay safe. The other bat Delph is out in the open.
Muriel's one shot.
Can we finish Muriel?
I can't, no.
Critical hit on IS-7. Boss, I might be able to hit X-Loading for you.
I'm clipping.
I cannot.
I'm clipping, Cam. I'm clipping.
Commodor's moving in.
We're
We're in a decent spot right here. I miss Grill, but he's low, Fosta.
Yep.
Andy, don't peek, Andy. All right.
I know.
I bounced X Soldier, Fosta.
I might join Cam.
Okay,
in
okay.
13
Can you draw him
seconds.
into me? I bounced him.
I'm gonna try. He's gonna have to crest for me.
Okay, I'm holding a shot right on top of you.
Mako's is
I
clipping.
have
Mako's is
7
clipping.
things I'm loaded.
I can't hit him. I can't hit him, Fosta. I'm looking for exits.
I'm joining Cam. All right. Is it fine if I'm joining Cam?
I was able to get exits, but I can't get him because he's holding forever for you.
Yeah, Commodore and Warbanner should be okay. Just ignore
Pick
the
up Mariel.
IS-7 as best you can.
Hey,
Yeah.
I have some
I
aggressive
have 7
bats in
fire.
here.
I might try to shoot down.
So we need help. We need help down here. There's 2 bats and an IS-7.
Sure, I missed one.
Shit, they're gonna
You guys have 3. I have to hold here. There's 2 still.
Mako's for 10 seconds. Mako's
Can you get back? No, I can't. I thought our bat.
Would you like me to come help push this
tap a
then?
bat, basically.
Hang on, I'm coming in to help push, I guess.
Pick up Zitz. Or Delph.
Don't let them focus Mako's. Cam.
Andy, you should just cover high. You're too low to do anything else.
Nice.
All right,
Nice.
there you go.
Hey, Letic is almost here. Live, Makos, live.
Makos, basically. Yeah.
I can't live.
Hey, Cam, I'm gonna get in here and
Yeah,
deploy.
Andy, just wait for Zitz to appear above. Oh no, there he is. He's that wide. X-Soldier.
I tracked Zitz. I tracked X-Soldier rather.
So the phrase. Well, I just said it and it totally just slipped my mind. The phrase act first, ask questions later.
Yeah.
Just came to mind right there with the Warbaiter. Hey, can I push up and join these guys? Well, he was already sitting next to Commodore.
It's like, yes, you can ask permission after you've already done the push. Okay, that works. And now this has gotten surprisingly close because
Now it's all
it's
down
3
to
to 1.
Commodore.
Can Commodore solo clutch? Probably not, as there are 3 guns
And
left.
now another thing that Meadowhawk was worried about, throwing of games happening right now.
The opening scout run from Rude, making it all the way across 07's grounds. I mean, 07 has some work to do, but
Now,
top tier
this
showed up
isn't-
today,
this
and they
isn't
made the
over.
right plays, man.
This isn't over. 278. Both these tanks, 407 are one-shots. Now, X-Soldier's doing the smart thing, opening up the second angle.
And they just have to move in at the same time.
They are the attacking team, so they have to make this happen. Now, if he can bounce one and get the kill shot onto the other...
Oh, great.
they're
X-Soldier's on reload, too.
But he doesn't know that.
Commodore definitely not, yeah. And I'm going to be following Pompous as he ekes on out, finds a perfect shot on the side of the turret, finishes it off. That's top tier winning 5-1.
And the cries of everyone playing fantasy right now can be heard in the distance.
Oh, my team is so wrecked. So wrecked. I really thought that 07 was going to be able to handle top tier better, but top tier
are on fire right now.
They also picked the right maps. They really did. They picked Murovanka, which, yes, goes 1-1, but they've been doing better and better on that. Then Cliff. Cliff was a map where top tier just dominated 07. 07 had a chance at sometimes, and they have improved. I can see areas where they're playing better. They don't deal well when they're down in a match like this. I don't think that helps their momentum and the morale on their team. They seems to be particularly vulnerable to that kind of to that scenario. When you guys are down trying to come back and rally everyone, seems like it's a bit of trouble for 07. And top tier, on the other hand, once they catch any momentum, they always keep it going, right?
Yep.
Whenever they start a win streak, it seems to keep going. They always seem to do well when they're doing well.
Just going and going and going.
But going back and forth, a big slug match where if it had been 1-1 back and forth with 07 and top tier, 07 might have been able to get this together. But top tier did not let them. Top tier kept the pressure on. I liked the aggression. I liked the style of the strategies. There's a lot of risk, so there's a lot that you can say about those strategies and whether or not they're viable, whether or not they're the best options, but they worked out.
No. And Warbander, one of the players that's typically very consistent in those heavy tanks, that last clip he got off that Kronwagen, he missed 2 of those shots and also got himself permatracked out in the open where he couldn't really do anything. Miscoordination there with the rest of his team, assuming the bat tests were going to come in, as we heard him say. And they didn't, and it kind of left him out to dry. So definitely some miscoordination within the team right there.
Yeah.
Looking at the fantasy points here, as well as just the damage from that game, Commodore, not a common fantasy pick, doing 3,600 and 2 kills in that 1-1-3, 50 fantasy points. And then drops off a good bit after there, exits 2,700, respectable. Rude Awakening down at the bottom of the RE251. The fact that he survived that battle as long as he did.
That was the baffling part. He shouldn't have he should not have been able to cross over to the east side. That was absurd to me. I'm just baffled. I don't know how he did that, or rather how 07 didn't stop that. Because Foster was sitting there passive. He was passive in a bush in the spot you sit to counter that run, so that someone shoots him and kills him, and no one shot him. And that was crazy to me. And those are the post-match stats. Post-match stats. Yes, the damage looked a little bit low. Because over the whole series, the damage was pretty low.
Yeah, that would be
that was a low.
Crazy. I don't. because the first map was on. Looking at it, the first battle was on Murovanka, so that should be a good bit of HP right there. So I'm not sure those were 100% correct. Looking at it,
I think that this match is the kind of match that analysis will not do us quite enough justice as it would on a longer series.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, let's just go with that one. This one was very much 07 top tier running up to the battlefield.
No.
There wasn't a whole lot of like counter strats or anything like that. It was just these guys brought some crazy strats.
I have a few questions right now.
Yeah.
We obviously have some questions, but we are joined by the winners right now to maybe ask him a few of the questions I was about to ask you.
Okay, so welcome to the broadcast, first of all. Is this Sublime Banana joining us again, sir? Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
So that was kind of a stomp.
Yeah, actually, I didn't get to see the last match, but it looks like we handled them pretty easily.
Yeah, it seems like you guys had that pretty well in hand. And I want to actually ask, from the previous weeks, you guys have been struggling in those. A win against Dare, a loss against Squad M60s, win against Rival, loss to Apex, loss to Eclipse, loss to 07 in the past. You guys have started turning that around and improving. Can you give me a little insight onto what your team has been doing and how you guys have been going about improving?
Honestly, I think it's just practice. Our main focus has really been like improving communication, which I think is like the number one most important thing. And just the experience, because we do have some new players like OG who hasn't really played in Gold League before. So I think just practice, experience, and communication.
So you just brought up Aghako. He's a great heavy tank player, and he's someone that I've been talking about a lot this season because he's really impressed me. What does he do, in your opinion? What does he add to your team? Let's go with that.
Well, he's really good. Obviously, just like the mechanics of like angling his tank and just like the shooting stuff or like penning. But like sometimes you just need to know like when to play like more aggressive, and
so it's like
just positioning stuff.
Combination of consistency and reading of the map well is where you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Any final statements, thoughts on 07, thoughts on this match in general?
Well, I hope we just don't catch any 07 olitis.
All right.
Symptoms include a short game, and which ultimately leads to death.
Oh, all right. Thanks for joining us, Sublime Banana. We'll see you next time, man.
See ya.
Absolute pleasure. Those guys put up a good show this